Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Tina. Welcome to Vlogmas Day 4. I am a full-time reseller. We have Max in the background there. I'm in my sunken living room. So you might see Bernie and Max behind me. They are no longer allowed in this room since it's been redone. And there is like a plastic kind of barrier up that I had to put up so they can't jump through, but you may see them behind me. So anyway, where was I here? So I totally lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, welcome to day 4 of Vlogmas. I figured today would be a good day. Someone had asked in one of my recent videos, like how I started eBay. So I'm gonna tell you that story. That's what we are doing today for Vlogmas Day 4. So I started back in 1999. I believe it was June 2nd, 1999 to be exact, when I created my account. So how it happened was my brother had some stuff that he wanted to sell, and he had collected a lot of his toys from when he was younger, saved them, never even opened them. Like, he had so many new sealed toys because he just kind of hoarded them and didn't play with them. He collected them. He's still kind of a collector, honestly, of a lot of junk. If he's watching this, he's gonna kill me. I don't think he watches my videos. But yeah, he still kind of collects things, honestly. But anyway, so he had some toys he wanted me to sell. And I'm like, okay, you know, this could be fun. I'll create an account. And, you know, he said, I'll give you half of whatever, you know, so we went totally 50-50. Back in 1999, it was just so crazy. Like, you would put up one photo, sometimes not even any photos. Some listings didn't even have photos and they were not required. So crazy. Also, you would take check or money order, or sometimes people would send you concealed cash, just kind of, you know, in between some paper in an envelope, and send it that way. So you wouldn't ship the item until you receive their payment, which, geez, sometimes that could take 2 weeks, you know, if it took them a week to write it. So these transactions were not as seamless and instant as they are now. That is for sure. So, and if you guys, I know, I'm sure there's some of you old schoolers on here watching me that know this. So yeah, it was just, it was so crazy back then. And even I'm trying to remember, because I remember even like uploading the photos. I think you could only upload so many. It definitely wasn't 12 like it is now. The whole way of going about it, it was crazy. So I had a basic digital camera that, because I don't even think we had like camera phones in 99. I think it was like a basic flip phone, you know? So yeah, I had a basic digital camera. And I remember the very first thing I sold, and I was so excited, and I was like hooked after that. I sold, it was my brother's, it was a sealed 1960s Hot Wheels Redline Beach Bomb, and had like the surfboard on the top. I forget which colorway it was in, but it sold for $500. And I was like, I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. So after, you know, I received payment and sent the item on its way and gave my brother his cut, I had money to go buy a new digital camera. So that is what I did right away. I went and got a new camera, something, it was a little bit of an upgrade. I mean, it still wasn't spectacular by any means, I guess, but got a new camera and kept plugging away at listing his items. Now, at that point in time, my oldest daughter was about, well, she turned one in July. She turned one in July, that following the sign up for eBay or whatever. So yeah, she was basically 1 year old when I started. And so yeah, I just kind of sold his items for several years, honestly. Just, you know, kind of like a trickle of things, you know, every time I would see him, he'd give me a few things. I wasn't selling in volume by any means. You know, I also had, like I said, I had a baby. I was going to college part-time. I was working. So it was just very, very, very hobby selling for me. And at that point in time, I didn't even know it could be like a real viable thing. I don't know if anybody did in the very beginning, because well, I mean, there was no social media back then, so you couldn't see what everyone else was doing or selling, really, or, you know, you had to really, like, unless you were like really talking to people about it, like other places. So it basically continued like that for a while. I sold very, very part-time, usually my brother's items. A few years later, I had another daughter. I was still selling, just very part-time here and there, very sporadic. And then I had another daughter. 4 years later, I was still going to school part-time, very part-time, still working pretty much full-time. I was waitressing. I waitressed for years while all of my kids were little. So yeah, basically I had my first daughter at 21. That was another question I got. How old are my daughters? My oldest daughter is 23 years old. My middle daughter is 20 years old. She's the one that moved to Pittsburgh. And then my youngest daughter is 16 years old. So yeah, I had my first daughter when I was 21 and my third daughter when I was 28. So all this time I was waitressing nights and still doing eBay, kind of very, very, like I said, part-time. I didn't even go out to garage sales or anything at that point because, well, for two reasons. I mean, I might have here and there I went out with my mom, but it was very hard with young children, very hard for sure. And another thing is, it was very hard for me to wake up in the morning at a normal, like, yard sale time, because when I was waitressing, I worked night shifts and I wasn't getting home until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And then, you know, after you shower and wind down, and, you know, I wouldn't go to bed till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So like my schedule was so off. I did not want to wake up on the weekends to go to yard sales. So then when my youngest daughter was probably about, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, I started kind of listing more. I started to go out to yard sales more often. I wasn't working as much outside the home at that point. I mean, I was still probably working maybe 3 to 4 days as opposed to like the 6 or 7 I worked before. There were sometimes I worked like 14 days in a row. I mean, I just, you know, you do, you got to do, right? I was a single mother for many years. But when my youngest daughter, like I said, when she was probably 2 or 3, I started kind of realizing that it could actually be a viable business. But I was, as like a full-time viable business is what I'm saying. But I only had maybe 400 items listed at the time, and I knew at that point there was no way I could just walk away from my job and make it off of the 400 listings. Things were always selling, but it wasn't in, the volume that I would need to really make things work. So I kept working. I was working at a country club over in Jersey at the time. I kept working, and when I wasn't working, I kept building my inventory and learning new things. And I was listing, a lot of dinnerware. I'm still a dinnerware girl. I love dinnerware. Some stuff was like total junk that I was listing, though. Honestly, I was going to a lot of auctions at that point and getting box lots. And if you guys have ever gone to auctions and bought box lots, you know that there can be a lot of junk in the boxes. So, and a lot of people flea market that stuff or kind of offload it another way and just list the items that are going to be most profitable for them. Well, at the time, I would try to squeeze every single nickel and dime out of those boxes. So I was listing like junk. I look back and I'm like, why was I listing that stuff? But I was just trying to list things to just build my inventory and like I said, try to squeeze everything I could out of these box lots. But anyhow, yeah, that's basically it. I kept growing for a few more years, and then and my mother would watch my kids while I worked, and it was getting a little much on her, and it came to the point where I had my inventory built up, I think maybe to like 2,000 or 3,000 items. It was in between there somewhere. And the job I was working at, management kind of ran the place into the ground. It was really, it went from being so good to being so bad. It's now closed, and it's a shame because, I mean, the owner, he passed away, but he built that place from the ground up, and it was a phenomenal business. And it went down so fast. So it got to the point where I was making like $30, $35 a shift. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Why am I driving in for this when I could be home listing all these hours that I'm standing here to make nothing? I could be listing items and making so much more. I was nervous. I was very nervous to take that leap and not have something to fall back on. But once it got to the point where I was making so little, it was that push I needed to just kick me off of that ledge. Like, I'm like, okay, that's it. I am done. And also at the very same time, like I said, my mom's in her 80s now. She was in her 70s at this point. And it was just, I knew it was time for her to not babysit anymore. The one night I came home from work and my daughter had 105 fever, and my mom didn't know it. She didn't even realize it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't keep being away from my kids. I need to be like home with them. And there was one other incident that was a little scary. So finally I said no more. And this was in 2012, November 3rd, 2012 to be exact. I remember the exact dates. And I quit my job, never went back, never looked back. I have been growing and building ever since then. And honestly, this year I have had the most growth. out of like all of these years, Max is swinging something around back there. I don't know what it is, but this year I've had the most growth, like in a 1 year span than I've had in a while. Like every year I grow, every single year I grow, I make more money. I have more items. You learn something different. You learn how to be more efficient. You learn how to be faster, and you learn different items, different things to source, different ways to source. I mean, it's a constant learning experience, which is why I love it so much. But anyway, fast forward to January of last year, and if you guys are new, you may not know this, but if you've been watching me, you know this. So January of last year, I rented a warehouse space. And it's not for everyone, but it is definitely for me. My house was just so overrun with stuff, and I do still have some stuff here that I need to, I don't know if I'll ever even move it. I've basically been just taking it as it sells and just shipping it out. So I might just let that continue. I don't know. Well, I can't say that. I'm sure I will have to move it, but that's another story. That's another, anyhow, back to the warehouse situation. I realized I finally got to the point where I was so sick of the way it was going, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to continue to grow in this house. So I decided to, one day I just went on Craigslist. I went to the rental properties, commercial properties, and I saw one that was like 3 minutes from my house. And I was like, oh, and I called immediately. I'm just like, I just took that leap. I didn't even think about it. I just called immediately. I met with the realtor. The same week, I met with the landlord. I took a tour of the place, and I knew it was going to be perfect for me. So I signed a lease, and January 1st moved into the space, and it has just been, it's been really good. Everything is so much faster. I mean, I was shipping before. When I was home, I was shipping on my kitchen counter. I had to go into the laundry room for supplies. I had to go into the basement for items, the garage for items. I was all over the place. And it was just, I honestly could not believe how much quicker shipping was when I started doing it at the warehouse. Like I can ship items so much faster now. Even listing items, it's so much easier. I have a big space. It's been great. And I totally made the right decision to do that. And I'm very happy with it. I'm going to be there for another year at least. Hopefully my ideal situation would be to get a house with enough property to build my own warehouse, like put up a pole barn, that type of situation, and have my very own space. So that will hopefully be sometime in the future. But yeah, that is basically my reselling journey in a nutshell. I don't know. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the little story. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. I just this was off the top of my head. So just trying to remember how things went, and yeah, the story of it all. So yeah, I will say too that, you know, it's definitely much easier now because there is so much information out there. There's so much information on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, like, there is so much information. So it's so much easier than it was in the beginning for people who are trying to run an eBay business or start an eBay business or, you know, anything like that. But yeah, so yeah, that's going to wrap it up, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this little story time. And I will see you tomorrow with Vlogmas Day 5. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and hit that little bell button so you get notifications every time I upload. And until next time.